my community. Community is very integral for artists. Like I am nothing without the people that constantly pour into me.
When you think of your parents, their care, their consistency, their love, what song do you hear?
That's a hard one. I think about the song. I think about my grandma a lot, my Liberian grandma. And I think about, there's this Liberian bossa song called Amuzwopo, and it means we'll praise God. And she would sing that all the time. And I don't know, it just feels very, integrated to who I am. Like it was something as a kid that, I don't know, was very like a push aside thing, like my experiences being an African immigrant. But that song makes me feel proud. She would always just be singing that in the kitchen, and yeah.
Okay. Is that is that a spiritual tune or is it a rhythmic tune?
Yeah, it's a very country song, I guess you'd say, native song. It's all in bossa, and I think it's just beautiful, and it really uplifts you, and it's gospel music.
Yeah.
But I like the memory that it embeds in my brain, not only just what it's speaking on.
Wonderful. Are you spiritual?
Yeah, I would say raised Baptist, but I'm a very spiritual person.
That's
yes.
Good. So you talk about your grandma, you talk about where you're from, and now you are in the States.
Yeah.
Now you're with your foster family. Is there a different song for your foster family, or a different memory that you have connected to music for them?
Yeah, completely 360. That's a good question. What song?
Or sound?
I think of like peaceful bird noises, actually. My parents have two moms and they love birds. They do a lot of birding in Philly. And I think when I think about a mourning dove, I think of my parents. Because it's just peaceful, and we go bird watching, and yeah.
That's good. Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad would always blast music and ungodly hours of the day.
Yeah.
And I used to hate it growing up, but now I think I'm doing it nowadays as a 34-year-old grown man.
Yeah.
And my wife doesn't really get it. She's like, "Why you got your AirPods in, but you got music playing in the background?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, I like the feeling, the texture of music playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
So you graduated from UArts at the top of your class with a variety of disciplines.
Yes.
Which says to me that immersion is important to you. Like being immersed in your work is important to you. What has eroded your creative immersion recently? Is it your phone? Is it the news? Is it life?
All of the above. Yeah, I would say all of that. I think first and foremost, it's like grounding myself, being able to ground my nervous system when there's so much happening actively, physically and mentally for me. So I think when I come to the studio, the canvas is responding to me. So how I, whatever strokes I'm putting into each section of the painting, what colors I want to use, the way in which I'm painting certain forms. And I think when I'm unsteady, it definitely brings a different kind of reaction. So that is why music actually is such a grounding force for me. Because I also blasting it in my studio playing Afro beats makes me just, okay, nothing else is happening. I'm here with my ancestors. It's kind of like when in Black Panther, when he goes back to like that place.
Spiritual plane,
yeah, that's how I feel. And I think when you talk about texture, music has a certain texture that isn't physical. It's just, it's rhythm. It's a lot. So I feel more grounded when I'm listening to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So music is transformative and transportive to you. It takes you to a place where your ancestors are. Is that something that you need to create every time? Do you need that connection, that spiritual connection when you're creating? Or is this something that you've grown into, something that you've evolved to do over the years?
I think it's another thing of both, because I think, and not to get so deep into that, but I think for a while I really had a lot of pain when it came to my culture, my ancestry, my Liberian family, and I wanted to separate myself from that. And I think the funny thing about assimilation is just like having to adapt, is adaptability, coming here and I don't know, just sort of being torn from my own culture and being told the opposite, that I'm not good enough and everything else. But when I'm in this space now, my studio or whatever practice I'm doing, I think about how complex that is to sort of have kind of hatred for myself when there's so much power in the things the history and complexities that make me me.
Background a little bit, and your culture, there's some pain there.
Yeah.
And me myself, I come from Kingston, Jamaica, and assimilating was hard. It was difficult. There's some cultural norms that I had to outright abandon, because it was, number one, toxic, but number two, unhelpful when you're trying to assimilate. Are there cultural pieces that you hold dear and you refuse to let go, even in this hyper-Western, hyper-capitalistic society?
Yeah, food. And music, but food, yeah. I mean, I remember when I first got into foster care and I was living with my first foster parents, grateful for them. But I was eating American food, like breakfast, bacon and eggs. And I was very grateful for those things. And, but I missed rice. I missed rice every single day. I missed fufu. I missed plantain. And those were things that were foreign to them because they didn't do that. And also, when you think about being an immigrant, you have to go to certain stores, the international aisle, to get certain things. And a lot of us shop at like different Asian markets because they have a variety of these ingredients. But food for me is so like, I can never let that go. And I think, being a kid, and I was told, by other African Americans, like, go back home and stuff like that. But it's so interesting that American food is just like, it's so also linked to African food. Jambalaya, gumbo, Cajun gumbo. I'm sorry. It's so amazing, but it's so similar to when you think about different like Liberian and West African dishes. So I think there's so many different, like this melting pot of all these things happening all the time. And I think being constantly reminded of that, I'm just like, I think my biggest flex is being African. And the fact that I was in a place where I was pushing that down is like part of the system to me. And I think, I have to sort of decolonize my brain by being more curious and being more questionative of the kind of stereotypes that are projected onto me, and even the ones that I implement on myself. So food every day, all day.
That's wonderful. That 180 of how you felt about yourself and your culture, I connect with that. Those feelings, how do they show up in your artwork?
I mean, I use rice in my work, literally. I eat rice almost every day. And I started using rice because I saw an Instagram post of these scientists, these young women who were in college, science students or whatever have you, and they were measuring population density based on grains. And I thought that was amazing. Because at the same time, I think COVID was happening. I remember this thing of we're all in this together, we're all in this together. But I think when you look at a grain and you think about it being in like a pile of other grain, like that mass, it's just interesting to me. I think I wanted to sort of use that as a metaphor or representation for humans, beings, honestly. And I eat rice every day. So I was like, why not? And it's textural, it's natural, it comes from the source. And so many countries, so many walks of life use rice. It's a cheap food, and it's such a good resource. So, yeah.
That's good. That's a good example. I used to eat rice every day until I went to the doctor. He told me I had high blood pressure.
Yeah, my grandma had high blood pressure too. It turns into sugar.
Yeah.
But I'm just sweeter, I guess. I don't know. It won't stop me. Sorry.
No, I feel you, man.
Yeah.
We talked about your culture a little bit. Let's get back to your practice. Do you think there is a rhythm or a sonic signature in your art?
Can you give me an example?
So the grains, right, or the colors, they can reflect you layering your art a certain way. Oh, this beat has to come in first.
Yeah.
Right. Then I'm gonna put the line work second. Right. That might be the horns or the piano. The grain slowly being built up. Maybe that's the drums.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good. Yeah.
Do you see some of that in your work, or is it?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think it's probably my first time really thinking about it in that way, but I think the oil paints, the way in which I paint oil paints when I'm listening to music versus the way when I'm doing my carving and doing the resin or the grain pour. I think it's like Mozart or Beethoven when I'm doing oil painting, because oil painting is very much a layered thing. You have to, I think of it's like psychological, like therapists when they're sort of breaking down and trying to get into like the meat of what somebody is going through. And for me with oil paint, I'm staring, because I paint a lot of black and white figures, I'm staring at this person's face constantly. So the reference picture is one thing, but then the way in which I'm simplifying forms to then build up on them, it's very, like you hearing a violin in there, because my face when I'm painting it is so stern. I am relaxed in there because I honestly don't think I can paint and take myself too seriously because I'll overthink it. But I'm very focused because I'm layering and forming and colors. But when I'm carving, I listen to Hit 'Em Up by Tupac all the time. Biggie, like every day, like rap, I'm listening to that because it gets me in a certain, like the physicality of carving is imprinting, like you're, it's a lot of physicalness.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of
aggression,
almost like hip hop almost. Hip hop has that kind of like, I don't know. I love when Tupac talks, like his voice is very
punchy.
It's punchy and he's real, and there's like a lot of meaning to that. So that's how I feel like the carving kind of is very similar to that.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Continuing on your practice and your technique. And just being a person trying to get financially compensated with your art. AI in the form of generative models came online really in the cultural conscience in 2024, which is very recent. Have you seen a change in the art consumption of the public and the public sentiment towards fine art from 2024 to today?
Yes, extremely. We talked about this at school too, was kind of like, if an AI can generate an image, what is the use of artist like anymore? But I think we've always seen that. Like, this is not new. I mean, you think about the Renaissance artists, like they were painting these huge oil paints paintings, the Sixtine Chapel, whatever have you. And then photography came in the mix, and people were having these conversations of what is the camera doing now that the artist can't do. Like, so I think to me this is nothing new. It's just kind of like a one-off off of something from history, and now it's like AI is more integrated and more like expansive. AI can generate millions of images, but it cannot produce an experience, a human experience. The experience that artists have, that they're putting into the work, not only the current experiences, past memory, what I had for lunch today, how that it all shows in the canvas. And I know that sounds very like wackadoodle, but it does, because how you as a human being show up in your life when you wake up in the morning, I don't want to go to the gym, whatever, that over time builds consistently, and it also sort of informs who you are and how you do things. So I think for me, that's how the painting is, it's sort of, I'm embedding my soul into something, whether it's physically or emotionally. And I don't think AI can do that. Right. And that is not something, like, we have to, as human beings, understand that we are part of nature. And the more we try to separate ourselves from it, the more we come back to remind ourselves again and again. And there will never be a time where we don't need labor from actual human beings.
For sure.
So.
That's good. No, I like that. It's hard to explain that to people, It's
hard to explain to myself, honestly.
What do your peers say? Do you get any pushback from your peers?
Yeah, I mean, I use AI. I'm not going to even sit here and say that I'm this perfect person. I'm all knowledgeable. I have a lot of, I'm not ignorant to things, but I also play into it. It's all around us.
Yeah.
But I also try to be mindful, of what I'm doing. That's all I, can say. But I use AI a lot for my reference work, because I'm an artist who uses imagery to expand upon the things I'm thinking about. So sometimes I'll ask Gemini, if you put this shadow here, how would that look? That helps me understand what I'm trying to produce. But my final piece won't look like that AI generated image. The textures I'm using it can't create those textures. But my friends, they get mad at me. They're like, that's not good. And we have that conversation, but they also use it too, without, sometimes even knowing. So I think it's an ongoing conversation that we have, because it's also kind of like the value. How do you value artists now if these things can produce so much so fast? But it's like that's also really quintessential time. Just because it can produce it so fast doesn't mean it's going to have the same rawness and realness that an artist will give it. So, yeah.
And I think the art that we as humans produce, we imbue a story, we imbue a spirit into the work.
Exactly.
Like the hand to canvas dance is ancient. It is something that can't be replicated by a robot, you know.
Makes me think of, there's a piece, I think by Michelangelo, where Adam and God are trying to touch each other, like Adam's about to touch God's hands. And you see that moment where they're going to, but they haven't. And I think that's sort of where, for me spiritually, where humans and this sort of race against time and nature is, like, we're just sort of in that space grappling with that, and we haven't made that connection because we're constantly going back and forth. But we need, like, we use resources. Even AI uses resources.
Right.
So I don't know. It's always back to nature for me.
That makes sense. We talked a little bit about your peers. You went to University of Arts in the city.
Yeah.
That's your alma mater. My high school is closing, and it was a special place for me.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It was a special place for me, and it was a critical life juncture for me. But the way I'm processing it reflects my detachment style and my self-soothing methods.
Yeah.
I'm not revisiting the memories like an average person would. The University of Arts is now closed. With your background, I can imagine permanence and consistency being important.
Yeah.
How did that university closing affect you?
It was very hard. And I think that's its own separate documentary that needs to be had. Netflix, do that.
Right.
Because it's actually kind of, before I answer that question, it's kind of become a thing now that schools are just closing. Like there's a bigger conversation on like, do humans need school, like, or private school, public schools anymore when we have YouTube Academy? So I think it's a very huge topic to think about. But it was very sad for me. It was very disappointing. I was disappointed in not necessarily the news, but the how do you say, like the people in charge. You know, I been in and out of foster care since I was 15. Came here from Liberia when I was 4, and displacement is always, it's not new to me. So when I felt like I found my place with UArts. UArts was like, you can do anything, any medium, whatever, and you can cross disciplines. Not a lot of schools have that anymore, especially art schools. And I felt like I found not only like my career choice, but my community. Community is very integral for artists. Like I am nothing without the people that constantly pour into me.
Right.
And I don't know, to have lost that when they sort of told us, I found out through the Inquirer, just like everybody else, even my teachers.
Yeah.
That was really destructive. It really broke down. I mean, yes, I was graduating and I was fortunate enough to graduate, but there were professors that lived down the street from me that I still come do studio visits. They critique. Like, I need those criticisms and advice to expand upon my work as an individual and as a professional. So I still hold those relationships very close to me,
very dear.
So it was very, very hard, and I think it made me tell myself, like, okay, without the institution was a place, this physical place we all went, but the community is not just the building. It's outside, and people can be nomadic and you can move around. But how do you hold strong to that community? And that was something I'm like, okay, how do I do that?
So I look around your studio, I see a lot of images, almost unrelated, uncorrelated images besides black and brown individuals. Would you say you're the type of person that you take in a lot of visual information and the output is your creative ideas? Yeah. Okay.
I take in so much imagery. I have a Pinterest board with so much like art and stuff, and I have all these different like just photos of artists and people that I appreciate, because I think that instills in my brain, and when I'm thinking about what I want to make, you know, it also informs that. And I learn from a lot of different artists all the time. I think to watch an artist's process of how they get from point A to Z is very important for me. Gotcha. That's how I learn. I've always been a seer and doer, imitator. So yeah, this is just basically like a big Pinterest board for me, just to remind me to feel good and like what it's all about. You know, it's a mix of just different things I love and artists I love. And it just keeps my brain, what's the word? Stimulated, but in a positive way.
Right. So. That's good. Film is one of your disciplines. Yeah. When I look at your art, I see grandeur, I see bigness of film, you know, the silver screen in your art. What else about film do you think is reflected in your art? Would you say it's storytelling? Would you say it's orchestra? Would you say it's the score? Is there anything else?
When I think about film, I think about sequencing. And when you're editing, you're always thinking about time and, okay, how do you go from like the climax to this? Like, I learned all about that in UArts. And I had a film background with UArts. I wanted to be an animator in film and appreciated it, but it was a no for me. But I still kind of do that with editing my videos. But when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about, I would say I'm always thinking about how the viewer is going to, if somebody was to go to a museum and see my work, how long would they stay in front of this piece? Where is their eye going? Because I also think that's also a sequence. the viewer's brain or attention span, especially now that our attention span is like no longer the 10 seconds with videos. I want people to be physically immersed within my work. And that's why I use so many different textures and materials, because I feel like for me with food, it's like I eat with my eyes. So when people go to look at work, they're like intaking all of that with their eye. No. So with film, for me, it's like that. What is going to the sequence of how the viewer is taking in the imagery. So yeah.
It's interesting. I haven't heard that before, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like you are not meticulous with your creation of your art, but intentional with the sequence of your art.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to make music?
Yeah, I write a lot of music,
Mm.
poetry and stuff that goes into that, and I be vibing. I sing a little bit, but I'm
Really?
not no
Okay.
professional. So I wanted to be on American Idol when I was younger.
Really? You can hit a note like that?
I never said that, but I don't know, just
Alright.
little girl dreams.
Hey man, it's all connected. Is there an interesting or a special moment that made you feel super grateful recently that you can think of? Like something that was like, I can't believe this is happening, or I can't believe this happened.
Yeah, I told you, like, I got almost 300,000 views on that video. And I don't say that to like boost my ego. I say that because I literally go to that video and I'm like, it constantly is growing. I don't know nearly 100 people in my life. So to think like social media can be that powerful, I think it just reminds me of community. I don't necessarily need to know someone to have my work connect to them. We're all in the same, bubble in a way, even though different bubbles in different places. But that made me feel very powerful, that something that I'm sort of encapsulating my experiences, my love, my hate, my pain, whatever, through these work, and there are other people who can also relate in different ways. It makes me feel like I'm imprinting or carving my name into the world little by little. And even if it's a like or a dislike, whatever it is, I just like that it's starting conversations with people. And that's something I've always wanted as a kid, was to be able to see my culture, to see people having these bigger conversations about these sort of things. I don't know. I just feel so grateful for that, and it makes me just really proud of being Philly. It's so beautiful here, and there's so like the expansion on art and Black creativity is just amazing for me. So, even if the 10,000 of those views were from Philadelphia, I was just extremely grateful for that, and just to be seen.
Yeah, I love that.